Mangwana ni mwalelepo Vugenjani Vanave Africa. Welcome to this current affairs show that keeps you abreast with the latest happenings across the continent and beyond. My name is Aina Raizakoyo alongside Diana Master. Mamukase.
Tamuka Mamukase.
Tamuka.
Oh, I love it. You sound more fluent and more natural by the day.
I sound like a Shona.
Like a Shonahan.
Like a Shonahan.
Yes, yeah. I love it. I love it. Let's get into what you can expect in today's broadcast. Niger's Army Command declares support for military coup. Hospital under probe over claims of a rat-eating infant's corpse. And services dry up in Nigeria public hospitals amid strike. We'll also be bringing you news from Zambia with Mike Sichula later on in the show. Stick around, we'll be right back with our top stories after this break.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the
15.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
In our top stories this morning, Niger's Army Command declares support for military coup. Niger's Army Command on Thursday declared its support for a coup instigated the previous day by soldiers of Presidential Guard, saying its priority was to avoid destabilizing the country. The army needed to preserve the physical integrity of the president and his family and avoid a deadly confrontation that could create a bloodbath and affect the security of the population, it said in a statement signed by the Army Chief of Staff. President Mohamedou Bazoum and Foreign Minister Hassoumi Mosaoudou earlier urged democratic forces in the country to resist the power grab, as Western officials said the status of the coup attempt was unclear.
Moving over to Tanzania, hospital under probe over claims of a rat eating an infant's corpse. Police in Uganda are investigating Kawempe National Referral Hospital after a couple questioned the circumstances of the death of their newborn, whose face a doctor at the facility reportedly said was partially eaten by a rat. The parents, 20-year-old Yvonne Ainembambazi and her husband Sulaiman Waiswa, claim their first baby was likely a victim of ritual sacrifice, and a deep wound on the left side of the face was inconsistent with rat bites. They told the law enforcement agency that unnamed health workers at the hospital, upon their arrival on July 20, attempted to refer them elsewhere, claiming that their child required unspecified external services, but they objected. The aggrieved and grieving family and Kawempe Hospital separately confirmed that the baby boy was delivered normally at 8.5 months at Wanyanga, a private clinic in Kampala's Rubaga division, but referred for care in a nursery. Police, quoting accounts offered by the parents, said the infant was on the third day of admission, placed on oxygen without a notification or explanation to them, a decision followed by concealment of subsequent information on the baby's final moments. At around 9:30 p.m. on the same day, the child was pronounced dead and the body reportedly moved to the morgue.
In our next story, services dry up in Nigeria public hospitals amid strike. Services in government hospitals in Nigeria dried up on the first day of the strike called by public service doctors, with patients facing difficulties in accessing health care. It came as the president of the Resident Doctors Union told BBC that his members had exhausted all options available to them to resolve the crisis. At the Aminu Kono Teaching Hospital in Kano, the largest city in Northwest, people were told to take their sick relatives home as no doctor was available to attend to them. Khadija Hassan brought her husband, who was involved in a car accident, to the hospital at midnight on Wednesday, but doctors declined to attend to him. The patient was left lying down in the hospital corridors. What are we going to do? We will have to sit here in the hospital till doctors resume work, he said. Khadija's case was not much different from Ishao Kumusa, who had brought his elder brother from neighboring Yobe State to the teaching hospital in Kano 12 days ago. He had been suffering from migraine headaches.
Now in Morocco, nearly 50 suspected supporters of jihadist groups arrested. Around 50 people were arrested on Wednesday across Morocco during a major anti-terrorist raid targeting suspected supporters of jihadist groups, local media said, citing security sources. Among them, 21 were placed in police custody, excuse me, and under the supervision of the prosecution, said the named sources. These arrests resulted from simultaneous operations in several cities of the country, led by agents of the Central Bureau of Judicial Investigations and Special Anti-Terrorist Forces of the General Directorate of National Territory Surveillance. The suspects are believed to have sworn allegiance to the Islamic State and Al-Qaeda jihadist groups. According to these security sources, searches led to seizure of bladed weapons and publications advocating terrorism and documents relating to methods of manufacturing explosives.
In our final story, as a desperate shortage for judges and it's creating serious backlogs. South Africa has a desperate shortage of judges and it is having a knock-on effect, creating a serious backlog of cases. This is according to lobby group Judge Meta. While the population and the crime rate have grown significantly in the last few years, the number of South African judges have stayed the same. Alison Tilly, attorney and coordinator of Judges Meta, told the Citizen this is causing massive backlogs for victims of crime. Tilly says this problem has been brewing in the lower and high courts for a while. We only have 250 high courts and superior court judges. We've got 9 provinces and some of them have more than one division. So we have many cases, and as the population grows, we need more judges. But the number has now been fixed for a number of years. Acting judges are appointed when there is a shortage, but the difficulty is that they are not enough, and in some division, judges president asks senior practitioners to avail themselves on pro bono basis to act as judges, Tilly said.
That brings us to the end of our top stories. Now, Zambia has set a goal to expand rice output by at least 50% in an effort to diversify its food security. We get into the story and more news from Zambia with Mike Sichula after the break.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Now let's cross on over to Mr. Mike Sichula in Zambia so he can just give us a quick update on all the latest stories that side. Good morning, Mr. Sichula.
Africa, good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
It's always a pleasure having you on Africa. Good morning. Let's get into your first story. Zambia has set a goal to expand rice output by at least 50% in an effort to diversify its food security.
Yes, so the plan by the government is that this project will be launched under a new program that the government has set in place, and it is expected that, according to the Agriculture Minister Ruben Tonga, the strategy aims to increase production to about 120 metric tons by 2026, and this will be done where they want to increase production by hectareage. He said that this will be achieved by improving the yield from 1.08 to 1.5 million metric tons per hectare and increasing hectares under cultivation from 47,000 to 80,000 hectares under the period of the strategy. So this is something that the government wants to discourage consumers from consuming a lot of mealie meal or the staple food that is made from maize, because this is putting a lot of pressure on maize, and the cost of maize is going higher and higher. So the government wants to encourage people to have an alternative away from the staple food maize, so that they can also be consuming a lot of rice. And in order to do this, government is rolling out this project so that at least the production of rice in the country can increase in order to meet the demand that is there on the market. Because presently the production of rice is not that much, and it is the Japanese government that is also partnering with government to achieve this target.
All right, Master Sichula, we understand that a Tanzanian man who is said to be Lusaka's principal heroin dealer has been detained by authorities. Tell us about this.
Yes, Tanzanian national, also known as Mbia Kayombo, is said to be a key player in an organized trafficking network spanning East and the Southern African nations. So he was been on the commissioner's wanted list for some time, and there has been invaded arrests on a couple of occasions. He was picked up with 6 others in an operation conducted on 24th July 2023. So Abu Naham's arrest has significantly assisted the Drug Enforcement Commission to read to other suspects who are involved in the ring of distributing heroin in the Central Business District, as well as other districts within the country. So the area where he was arrested, it's a compound that is just a stone throw away from the Central Business District, and it is notorious for various crimes. And there's actually a population of more than close to 1 million people in that area and surrounding areas. So it is notorious, and usually policemen do not have enough coverage to penetrate that area. So his arrest is one of those that the commission is saying is going to help reduce drug trafficking in the CBD, as well as any other parts of the country.
All right, now, Mr. Sichula, moving on. Ndola street vendors have been given until today to leave the streets. Otherwise, they will be forcibly removed. Let's get into this.
According to the Ndola City Council town clerk, Sheila Shikolongo, says the vendors should move to the markets as street vending is a health hazard. Remember, I did report here on Africa Good Morning that the authorities in the capital city, Lusaka, swept street vendors from the streets, and the area is now back to a clean environment. So this is now spreading to other parts of the country. So Ndola is on the copper belt, which is the province that produces a lot of copper for the country. So street vendors, as you can see from that picture there, shows that they're all over within the CBD and obstructing even shops that are paying revenue to the Lusaka City Council and other to the local authorities and other business agencies. So what they have been told is that they should move. Today is their last day, and if they are not going to move, they'll have to be forced to move out of those areas. So it is something that is expected not to be that calm if authorities do not handle it very well, because these street vendors have warned that they may not move unless they are given a best place where they can conduct their businesses.
All right, finally, Master Sichula, in sports, the government of Zambia has encouraged the Copper Queens to remain focused following their elimination from the ongoing FIFA Women's World Cup.
Yes, quite a sad outing for the Copper Queens, losing all their matches by 5-0 to Japan and Spain. And Zambia will come up against Costa Rica on Monday, aiming to at least win their first match at the FIFA Women's World Cup. However, government has praised the Copper Queens just for merely qualifying to the tournament. That even President Chilema has encouraged the Copper Queens not to be demotivated by the defeats, because it is something that the government believes is a learning curve for the Copper Queens, and if they remain united and focused, they have to achieve even greater heights going into other tournaments like the next AFCON, as well as the Paris Olympics that are coming up. So they are challenging the team to not to be disappointed, to also look at the defeats at the World Cup as a learning process for them to achieve greater results in the upcoming tournaments, like I've just mentioned, the next WAFCON and also the Paris Olympics. So it is something that even Coach Bruce Mwape believes that the Copper Queens have picked up positive results, positive lessons from the performance against Spain and also Japan, where they lost by 5 goals to nil in all the both matches.
Well, it was a learning curve indeed. Thank you so much, Mr. Sichila, for giving us an update on all the latest stories that side.
Thank you very much. Africa, good morning. Have a blessed weekend.
We certainly do hope to have a blessed weekend. But before we get into that, let's take a look at the weather predictions for Southern Africa.
Here are our economic news, proudly brought to you by Bank Windhoek. Intra-IAC exports thrive despite COVID-19. In the face of the COVID-19 pandemic, exports within the East African Community Bloc showcase remarkable resilience, surging from 3 billion in 2019 to 5.2 billion last year. The growth of exports within the region led to an increase in intra-IAC export share, reaching 24% of the total exports in 2022, up from 22% in 2019. This encouraging development was announced in Kampala during the official launch of the East African Business and Investment Summit and Expo, scheduled to take place from the 31st of August. The summit will gather stakeholders to discuss successes, challenges, and opportunities in trade and investment, not only with IAC, but also in the African Continental Free Trade Area.
Now, Coca-Cola eyes more price hikes in emerging markets. Coca-Cola lifted its full-year earnings targets Wednesday after second quarter results topped estimates, as it described plans to limit additional price hikes to emerging markets with the most intense inflation. The soda giant reported profits of $2.5 billion, up 34% from the year-ago period on a 6% increase in revenues to $12 billion. While volumes were flat, revenues were bolstered by a 10% jump in Coca-Cola's price mix benchmark, reflecting retail price increases as well as the composition of sales by venue and pack mix. Inflation in developed markets like North America and Western Europe is beginning to moderate, said James Quincy, chief executive of Coca-Cola, which has undertaken a series of price hikes over the last 18 months. That brings us to the end of our economic news. Now let's take a look at the economic indicators, also proudly brought to you by Bank Windhoek. Now, when it comes to sports, there is one man that sure can chat up a storm, and that's Ashwin Bedi with the sports package.
Just now I said Ari would be presenting this segment, but that's just because I miss him. I'll be taking you into globe-trotting. Lindsey Horan denied the Netherlands a famous victory against the United States on Thursday in a 1-1 draw. This is at the Women's World Cup. The United States beat the Netherlands 2-0 4 years ago to retain their World Cup crown and are now pursuing a third in a row, something that has never been done before. But they were far from their best in front of a crowd of over 27,000 and fell behind in the 17th minute to a superb strike from midfielder Jill Roord. Now, Vlatko Adonovski's side drew in the game and struck back just after the hour with a header from skipper Horan, moments after she had a spirited exchange with the Lyon teammate Danielle van der Donk. Springbok midfielder Damien de Allende is relishing the challenge of taking on Argentina this weekend and further cementing his spot as the leading contender for the 12th jersey for the Rugby World Cup. Now, while there has been some debate about the midfield selection ahead of Argentina, it was coach Jacques Ninaba who made it rather clear that the Boks are spreading the load, and that while some have criticized the selection of Jesse Kriel at 13, this test was the first they could have selected him after he was banned for a red card while he was in Japan. Now we move over to some international football friendlies as Jude Bellingham scored the first goal of his Real Madrid career as the Spanish Giants defeated Manchester United 2-0 in a preseason friendly in Houston on Wednesday. English midfielder Bellingham, who joined Madrid from Borussia Dortmund in a $114 million transfer in June, opened his account with an exquisite finish after just 6 minutes. Madrid defender Antonio Rudiger caught the United defense napping with a superbly weighted ball that sent Bellingham bearing down on the goal. The 20-year-old took one touch to control and then lifted a delicate chip over on-rushing United goalkeeper Andre Onana to give Madrid a deserved lead. Now, Leandro Trossard bagged a second-half brace as Arsenal twice came from behind to defeat Spanish champions Barcelona in a preseason friendly in Los Angeles on Wednesday. Belgian Trossard netted in the 55th and 78th minutes as the English Premier League runners-up completed an emphatic victory at the SoFi Stadium in Inglewood. Stay with us as we head to a short break.
To another exciting episode of Irongo Talk. We bring jou lees die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis julle moontlik kan byt.
You're watching Africa Good Morning. If you're just joining us, here are the news highlights. Niger's Army Command declares support for military coup. Hospital under probe over claims of rat-eating infant's corpse. Services dry up in Nigeria public hospitals amid strike. Intra-EAC exports thrived despite COVID-19.
Those have been our stories. We thank you very much for watching our show today. We do welcome your remarks regarding our show. You can post them on our Twitter and Facebook pages. Additionally, you can watch this show on DSTV 285 as well as GoTV 25 in Namibia. On that note, it's all our love, all our light. Happy Friday.